is a federal inquiry into a sustained campaign by Russia to influence the 2016 election, according to U.S. intelligence agencies, on behalf of, in favor of Donald Trump. It's not an investigation. It's an investigation that also sought to understand contacts between Russian officials and Trump, and ultimately there's no evidence.
I'm not testing you. I'm just saying, what happened? What
do
you think?
There was a Mueller report, and there was no indictment.
Okay, so,
there was no indictment.
Take this right here. Let's stop right here. There was a Mueller report, and there was what?
No indictment.
No indictment.
Okay, what do you think the American people think when they hear there was no indictment?
Oh, and now he's doing this fucking game. I still need a snappy way or a snappy analogy to explain this. This fucking thing that people do where they explain a thing. They're explaining why somebody might do an irrational action, and they're trying to give you the understanding, well, this is why somebody might do something irrational, but they're the ones doing the irrational action, and then they justify it. But so, like, somebody will do something where it's like, oh, well, of course, some people think the sky is brown. It's because they have brown tinted windows, and it's like, what color do you think the sky is? Well, man, it's probably brown. I mean, I don't know. It's like, but you think this thing. Why are you saying, you're explaining why some people might think the thing, like, they shouldn't think the thing, but you also think the thing. So what game are we playing here? Because he just said earlier, unless I misunderstood, he's like, well, that was my position, that nothing happened because there was no indictments. Okay, then nothing happened related to anybody else related to Epstein, right? You don't believe that because there were no indictments for that, besides for Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, right?
They're not looking into all this research. They're not saying, like, ooh, there are real connections, but maybe not close enough to indict, but there is something real here. What do you think the average American thinks when they hear there was a Mueller report and there was no indictment? What do you think they think?
Clearly have
false devil's advocate. Ooh, I like that one.
I'm asking you guys. What do you speak for your audience for a second? What do you think they think when they hear that?
David, correct me if I'm wrong. Richard Nixon wasn't indicted in Watergate, but Americans still look back on Watergate and think that was a scandal.
You're not answering the question.
I am.
No, you're answering it with a different one, and I think you're avoiding it because you know the truth. The truth of the matter is,
I don't think being willfully ignorant of what happened is a defense of knowing something.
True.
I'm sorry.
Look, I'm sorry I don't know every single thing before I interview the guy.
It's not about knowing every single thing. You said yourself you don't know a single thing. You don't know a single thing. You don't know anything about it. It's not about knowing oh my God, I don't know every single. There's like every fucking lawyer, every person ever going to debate about Trump. Hey, didn't you hear that they literally fabricated like elector certificates from people that weren't? Oh, I haven't heard anything about that. What about the executive orders targeting law firms? Oh, I don't know. I haven't looked at that. What about him trying to get rid of birthright citizenship with a fucking executive order? Wait, where's Kafka? I didn't ask that question yesterday. Why did the Supreme Court agree to take that case?
Which case?
The birthright citizenship executive order decision case.
Probably to agree with Trump. Come on, do a little Fed posting. You're good.
No. To end all the appeals? Maybe they just want to do like a good, strong decision on it so nobody fucks with it again?
Yeah, surely.
And I see that I'm clearly being like I don't know, punished.
I'm going to come to Andrew's defense for a moment.
No. I think it's listen. All criticism is fair. If you don't think that the question was asked in the right way or something like that, that's totally fair. We put things out on the internet. We put things out in the world. These criticisms are completely allowed. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
So, like, how did we get to this position to where he's like, well, I didn't even know anything about that. And I wasn't going to ask him anything about that. But now he's like defending the content.
No.
What I'm trying to tell you is there is definitely a separation between what
lying?
you guys know and what the American people know.
That's true.
And when you only talk to other journalists, you guys are all aligned, left or right, about.
But they don't just talk to other journalists. They're journalists. They publish articles for everybody to read.
Like what the facts of these things are. But when you go to, maybe not.
Yeah, no,
I would think Ben and I are not aligned on this.
Andrew, remember earlier when I was talking about the gestalt of the story, this is what I mean. Like the overall sense of the story in Russia is that there was an allegation, okay? And again, the specifics were not quite this clean. But the takeaway for most Americans was that Donald Trump was coordinating with Russia to pervert the 2016 election.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That was the takeaway. And it turned out that wasn't true.
So to be clear, that was one, maybe not Trump himself, because we never got that deep, but the people working on his campaign, they were, beyond any doubt. And most of them have admitted it, either through Roger Stone and the coordination with the Guccifer guy who did the Russia leaks, or through that weird Trump Tower meeting where Trump and his surrogates agreed to meet with a Russian lawyer to get dirt on Hillary Clinton. Those are two undeniable things that everybody acknowledges as being true, and we know they're true, and that's just like, that is directly interfacing with Russia in order to try to get dirt on political opponents, on Hillary Clinton in this case. Like, we knew that 100%.
I think the takeaway was.
So the idea that somebody won a Pulitzer for coverage of subsections of that broader narrative, a narrative which turned out not only not to be true, but that the American people then rejected wholesale in 2024 and reelected the man president of the United States. That is the reason why, when Andrew says, "Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying," he's not wrong about that. Now, I mean, that's a different thing.
But to the
Ben, I would like to know why Ben believed it wasn't true. I just want to know. Like,
because there's no evidence that Donald Trump directly coordinated with the Russian government in order to pervert the 2016 election.
That is true. There is no evidence that Donald Trump directly did it. That is true. But there was a whole bunch of stuff that was going on where Donald Trump was trying to obstruct the investigation. And these are questions you can ask. Nobody has any of the facts. Oh, like the killer question here is to ask, just curious, why did Donald Trump fire James Comey? Talk about that. And that will unravel this whole thread of bullshit. He fired Comey to stop the investigation into him and the people around him. That was why.
That proves Andrew's point.
Which federal investigators also
which is not the source of the inquiry. The inquiry was about interference.
Of course.
That's what those pieces were about.
And this is the problem with the TikTokification of information.
Definitely, you got your head in your hand, but it's true. This is why you have to talk to people.
But this is.
They do. They're journalists. They publish articles. They just don't have fucking podcasts or TikToks.
So, and I think this is maybe an
You're
advantage.
doubting that I talk to people any less than you do, and I don't.
You
accept
definitely
that, I'm
talk
sorry.
to them less than us.
No, that's
100%.
just false.
David,
that's simply false.
You're 100.
When the
years
last
old,
time you've been in a
have
strip
5
club,
friends.
David?
Come on,
Andrew.
come on.
I'm teasing you. Come on.
So,
David, I'm not joking.
The actual work of journalists is to
I'm not
talk to
insulting the
people.
work of journalists, and I'm
No,
obviously.
but you are. And insulting David in that way.
No, I'm insulting David because I was
we
fun.
can kid around. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But if we're being serious here, those stories were about a specific thing. You can debate till the cows come home whether the Mueller report was interpreted by.
Destiny, my point was a banger, and you should use it in future debates when people bring this up. No, your point is a horrible one. 10 years ago, your point would have been a good one, but today they would disagree. Here, Tug Fwitch and DGG says, Destiny, there's also no evidence that Hitler directly ordered the Holocaust. Chances are these days people say, oh shit, you're right, true. I don't know if he actually did. But I understand where you're coming from, but these days I would never roll with any analogies to stuff like that or comparisons to stuff like that because they'll probably just agree.
By bar in the proper way, all the rest. But those stories were solid.
Okay, I'm not saying the stories weren't solid. This whole conversation is, at least it was started by a distrust in media, right? And a lack of understanding of what's going on.
Back.
Bring it back to the
Lord
beginning.
Almighty.
And I think that, like, to what you were saying, right? The idea of what Americans think happened.
I agree
There
with
was an investigation and then no indictment. When I hear there's an investigation and then no indictment.
First of all, and there were indictments. Can we talk about the indictment? I don't know if people know that. They probably don't. There were indictments. Like 12 different Russian people were indicted for, like, there are two parts to this quote-unquote Russia interference stuff. You've got did Trump and his campaign collude with Russia in order to try to find information, release information, whatever, which they did, by the way, but that's a harder case, I guess. And then the second one was, did Russia directly interfere with our election? They did. Well, that's foregone. That's obviously true. And there were indictments that were issued with relation to that. I don't even know if he knows that these are two different questions. I don't think the journalist guys here, I don't think they're aware that he's like conflating both of these together and they're not differentiating between the two because there were indictments issued and there was a lot of investigatory stuff that came out with relation to how Russia interferes and was interfering with our elections at the time in terms of posting on social media, creating fake accounts, setting up protests and all this bullshit. Destiny, stream disagreements, King of Pandas. I don't know who you are and I don't know. Well, I don't know which one that guy is.
It means there's nothing there for us, right? We're a comedy
Nothing
podcast.
there?
So
this is
of what Americans think happened.